Welcome to the National Soccer Coaches Association of America Winter Webinar Series. My name is David Newberry, and I'm the coordinator of the NSCAA Club Standards Project, an initiative designed to raise the performance of coaches and players one club at a time. Since May 2012, we have had over 390 clubs join our project, representing approximately 235,000 players and 25,000 coaches. I'm delighted today to have Patrick Johnston, who is the NSCAA Club Standards Project consultant, to present today's topic, which is named Facilitating Speed of Play on the Training Ground. Patrick has been coaching youth soccer in the United States for over 30 years. He actually coached his first team in Durham, North Carolina, while performing as an All-American goalkeeper at Duke University. He has coached at clubs across the South and has served on the Regional 3 ODP staff coach for 2 different directors. At the conclusion of his professional playing career in England and the United States, Patrick served on many college staff and in fact is now currently the women's coach at Sewanee, the University of the South, and is an A licensed coach. He also writes for Success in Soccer and has traveled abroad extensively, visiting professional and amateur academies in Europe and South America. Welcome, Patrick, to present today's topic, and I'm going to turn to the first slide, and it's all up to you now.
Thank you very much, David, and thank you for everybody attending or listening in on this, and I certainly hope you get something out of it. Topic near and dear to my heart is in terms of just general soccer. We talk a lot about technical aspects, tactics, etc. But a component in that, I think that applies to everything within the game, is the speed of play. And in the speed of play, it's just something where I've seen many teams say, why was that team better? And it was simply because one team was capable of doing something faster or at a more consistent, rapid tempo than its opposition. So we're going to talk about this. Why do we want to play fast? And certainly there are times when we want to play slowly. But in terms of the rapid tempo, speed of play is something that you obviously, if you're the more fit team or the superior team, you are wearing down your opponent. They are unable to keep up with you physically, mentally, if the game's just moving faster than they're used to in training. So that is why you as a coach should always prepare your team for these instances. In terms of playing it fast, it's a matter of, I want to move on to the next slide here.
Yeah, Patrick, just click on the slide and then use the arrows to forward it. It should work.
All right, I appreciate that. That's what it was. I didn't click on that slide. Thank you, David. So, you know, we see players coming up against each other, and we're not just talking about speed or a player running faster or a player able to manipulate the ball quicker. It's a matter of, here we go. Sorry for the technical difficulty there, folks. Speed of play is definitely a more attractive style of play. It's a matter of being able to execute while at speed. And obviously, a team that's not prepared coming up against a team that is will have the advantage. And it also makes for a much more attractive style. And you will definitely have that satisfaction of people saying, or, you know, people that know the game watching saying, that was a good side. I really enjoyed watching that team play. Playing with speed is also a must if you want to be a possession-oriented team. Playing possession without having a rapid tempo or speed of play is basically, an analogy would be similar to, I'm going to walk during this race. So obviously, in terms of keeping the ball and moving it about, the faster you do it, the more effective it is. Very simple equation. And then moving forward with just the general topics of it, why would you play slow then if playing fast is more attractive, if playing fast is something obviously that leads to more success? Well, we see it all the time. We see if you're in the sense the technically inferior side, you will benefit from trying to slow down the other team's rhythm. There are ways to do this, obviously taking your time on restarts. You see it all the time in the game at all levels, gamesmanship in terms of falling down, et cetera, and something obviously they're trying to take out of the game now. But you typically will play slow if you know that you're the one playing with the shorter deck. You approach it as a means to shorten the game clock. In terms of playing slow, it obviously very often requires a low-pressure situation. You're not going at the other team looking to win the ball quickly. Your attack is predicated on a counter attack, getting forward quickly, or more likely we see it at all levels, the set piece. So at the end of the day, are you entering that game as a boxer, being the one who is looking for the rapid repetition of skills, throwing jabs, throwing counters, or are you the puncher? Are you the one simply looking to deliver the knockout blow? And so the purpose of this presentation is not to give you this tactical insight, but I needed to do this in order to set up what we're about to go through. How do you do this in practice? How do you say, okay, we're going to go slow, we're going to go high? Okay, here we go. Speed of play. It's learned on the training ground, and it's also a trait that is something that has to be a consistent component within everything you do. You can't just tell your kids to play faster, much like you can't tell someone just to run faster. If you're trying to teach someone to run faster, then obviously you're teaching them certain techniques. You're applying it over and over. So is this something that when you approach your session, are you considering doing things that require your players to move faster? Do you require them to trap and move the ball quickly, or are you just making sure that they do it technically properly? I think the typical technical progression is get it right, and then once it's right, continue to do it faster. And as it says here on the slide, it's a cultural trait, and it's something that must be done over and over and over. Okay, so what are you doing to facilitate the execution of those particular aspects? Now, here's some things you don't do. Try to avoid lines, and I'm sure most of us have seen this, if not. And it seems like there's times where lines are unavoidable. My solution to you would be then introduce more stations. Make sure the kids are as active as they can be. And then obviously we hear about lectures, but lectures should be something you limit, and then you definitely try to consolidate for more impact. You know, it's just these are common sense things that these kids are in lines or they're in lectures, or at any level for that matter, things are slowing down. So we want to make sure that as we approach our practice, we're prepared to not have these things. And the reason why we avoid lines in lectures and we want to do things rapidly is there are things in a match that you cannot necessarily prepare for, and we call that match speed. You notice your players, the intensity, the enthusiasm, everything is escalated come match day. So in terms of your training session, you should be able to introduce things and impose a culture or an atmosphere upon that training session to give it more of a match feel. Some people call this exerting pressure in the match, but you obviously need to find a balance between overdoing that pressure and keeping it where the kids enjoy the experience. So you as a coach are the one necessary for facilitating all of the all of the rhythms within the practice, all of the tempos within the practice, and creating that within a training session is something that as you approach each session, do you take that into consideration? And some of the things that are obvious about this, being a coach and the one who facilitates players to perform and do things rapidly, is to be prepared, show up to the training session prepared. We've all been through many coaching courses, or I'm assuming many of you have, and one of the things they say is be prepared. And being those of you that are Aston Villa fans out there, that is literally their crest. It simply says prepared. Great saying from a coach from another sport, good old John Wooden, was failing to prepare is preparing to fail. And the same can be said just in the microcosm of your training session. You are the coach. You are the one. As you go out, when you have your session in mind, is it laid out? Are you ready to move the kids from one station to the next? One of the most common things that I do is, and I have found it to be successful, is there will be times where I literally will set up a 45-minute session where we don't necessarily do the same thing the entire 45 minutes, but we quickly move them into the next setup, and it's ready to go, and it's understood before they start. And that applies to the culture of the game in terms of we don't have timeouts. We don't have that luxury. So, make sure things are laid out. Have the pennies ready. Have these types of things prepared. And then also, here is probably the most golden nugget I can give all of you today in this presentation is have a lot of balls at your training session. One of the things that I've witnessed so many times are training sessions, be it possession, be it shooting, where the team and players literally will stop to chase the balls and then bring them back, reload, and do again. So obviously, the more balls that you have available and the quicker you introduce them into the session when one goes out, reintroduce the next ball, that is one of the greatest ways to facilitate an environment or a mindset where these players know your fingers are popping, they're popping, they can't start and stop because they're waiting for a ball. The environment that is facilitated, it applies at all levels. It applies at all levels for every team, everywhere. And it's kind of ironic. I have here a question in my notes. If Di Matteo had practices full of wills and stop-start, that is what you would see on game day. And we're talking about Chelsea's top level. Obviously, Di Matteo is no longer with the Blues, and obviously you see the reason why I'm using the Blues in this case. But be at any level, if they don't have enough balls, if it's not planned properly, be it the top levels in the Premiership to your U8 Academy side, the culture of speed of play or rhythm and tempo of play, you're going to get exactly what you do. You're going to get out of it exactly what you put on. So my question to you is, when you're doing your session, is it in your culture to make sure that you are preparing these kids for match speed, for the speed of play during a match? It matters, guys. It matters from the pros to the kids day in, day out. It's not something, again, that you can just say and expect it to be done. There are, of course, situations within matches where the speed of play is inhibited or it's really shot down. And, of course, one of those is dead ball situations. Dead balls, here's a case of if you are the team trying to slow the game down, then it makes it easier for you. If you're the team trying to speed it up, okay, what are you teaching your players to do? How common and obvious is it to see a team, the referee blows a whistle, everybody puts their head down, moves forward, and then the ball is just lumped forward? And we see it all the time at all levels. And that, to me, it makes me cringe personally, being someone who really loves to just see the tempo and rhythm of the match, that referee blows the whistle. I'd love to see my player simply, boom, put that ball down and play. And we see that situation, obviously, more at the higher levels of the game than we do with the younger groups. But that's something in terms of you, again, as a coach, try to, if you are seeking to develop a rapid tempo, then make sure your players are all on the same page here. Whistle blows, boom, put it down, let's play quickly, quickly, quickly. We saw a case last week, or it wasn't too long ago, where all the players weren't on the same page, and I'm talking about the U.S. national team playing in Russia, and that restart that led to the first Russian goal, where an American player put the ball down quickly, and I'm not going to even bring up names, but one player decided to play it quickly, other players weren't on the same page, turnover in the American third, boom, Russian goal. So that is a situation where you certainly want to make sure all your players are on the same page, and again, have that cultural aspect within the entire side. The obstacles you do see quite often, it's up to you, and some are beyond your control. Referee will stop you often from restarting. No, the ball wasn't in the right place, the ball was rolling, I need to give a card. Obviously, these are things we deal with as we go forward, and you can only control the things that you can control. Another component, when restarts, I find are critical, that, and it's not necessarily a restart, but how does your keeper reintroduce the ball into play? Be it a goal kick, be it something that they pick up with their hands. Do they take their time, push their team forward? Obviously, there's cases where, yes, we need rest, etc. But if you are trying to be the team that dominates the tempo and wear your opponent down, the keeper needs to put it down quickly, find feet. These are also very critical components, in my personal opinion, in terms of developing players technically, introducing them to pressure situations. One of my favorite stories is, I've never seen a player get better when the goalkeeper punts it over their head and they watch it sail forward. So in other words, put it down and create that tempo from the back to the midfield to the forward. So obviously, again, a cultural component that runs throughout the team. Here's a man with lots of answers and solutions. Of course, we all talk about the wonderful Barcelona, the team that was the greatest team in the world, arguably the greatest ever, although obviously that is a debatable topic then and now, but certainly one of the most attractive teams I've ever seen play under Pep Guardiola, and everything about them was rapid, tempo, 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 combined, combined, combined. It was, I never remember seeing Barcelona enter a game saying, okay, we're going to slow it down. They always seem to have the system, and they always seem to want to do it in a manner that was attractive, appealing, and most of all, a rapid tempo and speed of play. So I'll leave you with this, my attendees. It is you, the coach, who will set the tempo in the training session. You will set the tempo in the match, and if you prepare your players in the training session, then you have done everything to prepare them for that match speed. And I ask you this. Thank you very much, and I look forward to answering a few of your questions.